it's Clara from AcuPro Academy, and I want to thank you for being here today because I know time is very valuable. It's a high commodity these days, so I wanted to thank you for being here. My goal, if you don't know me, with AcuPro Academy is to really empower every practitioner to achieve superior patient care and grow a successful practice while having fun. Because I believe in having fun, super important. So thank you for being here. And today this lecture is going to be all on a TCM Foundation favorite of mine, which is the 4 vital substances. So this lecture is to try to take a complex medicine, which is TCM, and make it as easy as possible to grasp and understand. So it's a quick lecture on the 4 vital substances, and I hope you are going to enjoy and benefit from it. Of course, I know you are already a TCM rock star. So you may want to just watch this for fun or to just review the 4 vital substances. And if you're a rock star TCM student, then you may want to enjoy this lecture as well. So let's get it started. The 4 vital substances in Chinese medicine are qi, blood, body fluid, and essence. So those 4 vital substances are exactly that. They're vital, meaning that if we don't have one or we're missing one, then life is gone, right? Vital means life. It means, in French, it means vie. I'm French, you can hear that, which means life. So 4 vital substances means that without blood, of course, if we hemorrhage to death, we die. If we don't have any body fluid and we lose all our body fluids because we are in the desert somewhere, we die. Right? Essence, which I'll explain later, its really true meaning is really our aging system and how much we're going to age and how fast we're going to age. So once we age and age and age and age and age, eventually we go and we die. Without qi or energy, without our physiological aspect, we can't function. So as, a little morbid this starts for this lecture, talking about death 4 times. It is actually about life and about the 4 vital substances. So that's exactly what they are. We have 4 of them and they are vital for us to continue to live a healthy life. So let's start with qi. Qi is a very difficult, substance to explain. First of all, I want to say that this is the only one. If you notice, this is the only substance we keep the Chinese opinion name and we don't translate, right? We translated essence from Jing, which we'll talk about later. We translated Jianye into body fluid and called it body fluids, and Shui as blood. So blood is a substance as well that we translate. Yet with qi, we don't translate it. And the reason we don't translate qi is because it is not one word. There is no one specific word to translate qi. So yes, it has been called vital energy, it has been called life force, kind of like Star Wars, may the force or may the qi be with you. So it has been called many things, but really qi is ultimately is a substance that is in the body, would maintain life activities, would be your physiological aspect. But qi or energy or anything representing qi is everywhere all around us. So it's not very translatable. Okay, so we're going to keep it pinyin, Chinese, just like yin and yang. You can't translate yin and yang, it's a concept. Well, qi is a concept, same idea. So let's start talking about what qi is in respect to Chinese medicine. It is really the physiological aspect of your body. So body fluid, and essence are more yin in nature because they are more matter. Qi is more yang in nature because it is more energy, right? So it's more a physiological aspect, how your body is all functioning. That's pretty much the best representation of qi within the human body. I hope that makes sense. So let's look at qi and how is it formed? How do we get qi? Well, first of all, we got our parents that have their own qi and they get together and they make us, right? So that is called congenital qi, or often it's called pre-heaven chi, which means that before you were born, you got the energy or the DNA physiological aspect of your parents. And usually it is found in the kidneys in TCM. Now, after, we're also going to have, of course, us, what we are, the form of who we are, and our physiological aspect, our energy, our chi. And then we're going to have to nourish this chi to stay alive. In order to stay alive, we only need two things. We need air, because without air, we cannot keep going more than a few minutes. And we need food and fluids, right? Without food or water, we eventually perish. So basically, those are the two things we need. We need life that was given from our parents. And then once we're out of the womb, we need to continue to live with fresh air, which is allowed by the lung or the energy of your lung, your breathing system. And we, of course, need to transform food energy or food chi into nutrients, which are in TCM transformed by the spleen and the stomach and the digestive system, which transform it into nutrients for energy so we can keep going and keep living a healthy life. So those two things, fresh air and food and drinks, are vital for us to continue living. And of course, whatever congenital chi our parents gave us will give us the whole health. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at the functions of chi. So chi has many functions in the body. First of all, it's very warming. Just like that little fireplace there, it is warming to keep our temperature constant. So if you fall into a frozen lake and eventually you die of hypothermia, then you lost all your chi because it could not keep the person warm, right? So that's a cause of death, for example. Chi can raise. As you can see, this person is jumping up. So raising function of chi is, first of all, to hold everything up. So I guess from sagging, which can happen to some of us as we age, but also hold the organs in place, preventing the organs from prolapsing, which happens as we age, unfortunately. Also, chi control, or is controlling, specifically control the excretion of body fluids, right? It controls how much we sweat, if we can hold on to our urination or our stools. If there's leakage anywhere, then chi is not obviously opening and closing those functions properly. It's also in charge of promoting growth, promoting production of body fluid, of blood. It really promotes a lot of growing and reproduction of any kind of fluid we lose as we go. Okay? And for the last part or last function, chi defends against invaders. So basically, the defending function means that it is kind of like fighting pathogens. If a virus or a bacteria tries to enter the body, chi specifically is going to try to fight this and push the pathogens right out. So of course, if you have strong chi, then you can win against the pathogen and you won't get sick while everybody else in your family can get sick. But if you have weak chi, then the pathogen, meaning the virus or the bacteria, will basically get the best of you and eventually you'll get sick with a flu or a cold. Does that make sense? So that's the function and formation of chi. Now let's talk about the classification of chi in Chinese medicine. So even though there's one specific chi in the body, it is really a manifestation of many other forms of chi. Okay, so there's various type of chi, and they're all ultimately, sorry, my English sometimes, I go out the door. They are all one chi, but we can classify them or subclassify them into mini little chi that are a different form of the overall chi of your body. So let's start with Yuan Qi. Yuan Qi is the source Qi. Source Qi means the one we were talking about earlier when we said that formation of Qi comes from our congenital or our parents' energy, right? Our DNA. So Yuan Qi is really the congenital or what our parents gave us, the physiological aspect. So hopefully we can grow normally from a baby to a child to a teenager, and we grow well. We have good yuan qi because our parents were very healthy at the time of conception and they were given good qi from their parents, right? So that's yuan qi, and that's our source. That's what we get at the beginning. Zongqi, and don't quote me on the pronunciation of Mandarin because I am not good. I'm a French person speaking English and learning Chinese. Am I confused yet? So Zongqi is really the qi that's located, or the energy that's located in your chest. And it's really allowing you to breathe. So it's encompassing in Chinese medicine the heart and the lung, right? So when you breathe in air that becomes out as CO2, you need your whole circulatory system using the lung and the heart. That's the energy of zong qi. We need this in order to breathe. Obviously, if we don't have good zong qi, then we're going to have a lot of breathing issues, including asthma and chronic bronchitis, for example, etc., etc. The next qi is zhong qi. So zhong qi is the middle qi. It means middle in Chinese, and it really is in the center of our trunk, which means it's in charge of the digestive system. So in TCM, it will be in charge of the qi of the spleen and the stomach, or the way the spleen and stomach function. So as you can see, it is going back to what we talked about when we talked about qi formation. We have yuan qi from our parents. Then if we eat good nutrients, good food energy, good food qi, it will be transformed into nutrients by zhong qi, by your digestive system, which means in Chinese medicine that you can eat a lot of good nutrients. But if your body cannot transform it and transport it and make it into energy for your body to function, meaning maybe you can't absorb the food, then your zhong qi or your middle qi is very depleted. Okay? The zong qi is the same thing. We need air to be able to function, to continue life, right? And in order for that to happen, we need to do big, deep breathing exercises to strengthen our zong qi. Make sense? All right, so let's talk about the wei qi. We talked about this before when we talk about function. So wei qi is your defensive qi. It's the one that basically represents your immune system. It is fighting the invaders, right? You're trying to stop viruses, bacteria, and the stronger your immune system, the stronger you can fight. So the stronger your wei qi, the easier it is to fight. And the wei qi usually is located, according to TCM, on the skin. It's kind of like your barrier, right? Your defense system. And so usually that's how we stop invaders, obviously from entering through the nose, through the mouth, specifically if there are viruses or bacteria. Make sense? Now we have yin qi. That's a little tougher to understand for a lot of people. But yin qi is often translated as nutritive qi. It nourishes. It's nutritive. It nourishes. So as we're going to compare wei qi and yin qi. Wei qi is the defensive system that's outside, right? It's kind of like the outside layer of who you are as a person, while the yin qi is the internal or the inside part of who you are. And it is going to nourish the inside of your body, keeping your inside or your internal part really, really strong. It will nourish blood. It will nourish all the substances. That's what yin qi is. Now, yin qi is very internal. Wei qi is external part of your body. Together, if you put them together, again, remember, qi is just a formation that can be subcategorized, right? So wei qi is external, yin qi is internal, and together they form, if we put them together, zhang qi. And that is the true qi. It's translated often as the true qi, and it's the qi that circulates within all the meridians, all the channels that are on the body with all the acupuncture points. So often when we have a channel, we have an external part of the channel and an internal part of the channel. The internal part is where yin qi circulates. The external part, where all the points are mostly, is where the wei qi, the defensive qi, circulates. And as a whole, the whole meridian is where zhang qi circulates. Hopefully that makes sense. I know it's a little bit confusing for those two often. You can read more in depth, but I thought I kind of get the point with the way I just explained it, and I hope you did. If you don't, you can always send me an email and ask me a question. I'm here to help. I love TCM, and I love the way it works. All right, so let's continue with what happened when chi is out of balance, okay? So chi in its movement can go up, can go down, can go in, can go out. It has a lot of different movement and direction. So with chi stagnation, which is one of the pathogenesis or the out of balance, when we're not healthy, we can get liver chi stagnation. And the reason we can only get liver chi stagnation is because the liver is in charge of moving chi as a function of liver or TCM liver. So when we have chi stagnation, it means that we are stressed, everything tightens up. It could be due to emotion, it could be due to food, it could be due to a lot of different causes, but the symptoms are going to be mostly slowing things down, okay? So maybe water retention, because things are not moving properly, they're stagnated. We're going to have probably like headaches, tightness in the shoulders, tightness in the neck. We're going to have slow digestion, like, slow bowel movement. We're going to have to strain during the bowel movement, and we're going to have an unfinished feeling as well. We're going to be moody, feeling a bit irritable or frustrated very easily, and a lot of distension, maybe a distended headache in general, or feeling distended breast for women at PMS time, with a lot of bloating at PMS and moodiness. So with chi stagnation, it is going to amplify the PMS for a lot of women. All right, so that's the first thing that can occur when chi is out of balance. The second thing that can occur is chi can rebel. So as I said, it goes in different direction, right? So in general, let's take the lung, for example. Your lung chi goes down. So as a general rule, when it's healthy, you breathe in the fresh air, and you breathe in deep, 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 deep breathing, and your energy, your lung chi goes down. And then of course, you expel the CO2, when lung chi expel or the CO2. Now, what happens when chi rebels? It means it's going the wrong way. So for the lung, for example, the more we cough, the more the lung chi is rebelling. It's going the wrong way. So there's an out of balance, right? Does that make sense? So usually when that happens, we are going to cough a lot, specifically for the lung, and feel stuffy, like we need to clear our chest. Make sense? Okay. The second one is stomach. That's an easy one to understand. When there is stomach chi rebelling, because of course when you eat your food, what happens? The stomach receives the food and the food goes down, right? That's a normal, healthy chi direction. But if it's unhealthy, the direction is going to change, and the stomach chi is going to go up and rebel. And so when stomach chi goes up, what happens? We're nauseated, we have acid reflux, heartburn, hiccup, and even vomiting, right? It's going up the opposite way. Make sense? Okay, the last one is liver. Now, liver has tendency to be more stuck in general because it's going everywhere in the body. As a general rule, liver chi moves in every direction. But what happens is that when it gets stuck, so from chi stagnation, liver chi stagnation, it can lead to more and more stress and more issues, and eventually the liver yang or the liver energy is going to rise or rebel. So often this is called liver yang rising, or the liver energy or liver chi is rebelling upward. So then everything's going to happen up in the head. So we're going to have tempo headaches, red face maybe, red eyes, feeling very angry, high blood pressure. This is all rising up and going up in the wrong direction. Good? Okay. The next one is, of course, chi deficiency. When we are depleted and we have chi deficiency, the first foremost symptoms is fatigue, mental and physical fatigue. Now, as you can see, heart, lung, spleen, and kidney can all be chi deficient. So let's see what's the difference. Well, the difference is that they're all fatigue, but if we have heart chi deficiency, for example, then the difference there is that we're going to have a little bit more spontaneous sweat. So someone that's heart chi deficient is fatigue, and they're going to be sweating for no reason, meaning that they're not hot, they're just sitting there. So maybe they're sweating because they're nervous, they're anxious, but there's a lot of abnormal day sweat. With lung chi deficiency, the person is fatigued, probably pale as well. And what happened with them is they're going to have a low immune system, because the lung in TCM is in charge of the wei chi, the defensive chi. So when the wei qi or the defensive qi and the lung is not properly controlling the defense system, then we're going to catch colds and flus and get sick a lot. So a lung qi deficiency person is fatigued and they get sick easily. A spleen qi deficiency person, because spleen is in charge of digestion, or the zhong qi, the middle qi, then there is issue of digestion. So a lot of time it's going to be loose stools, bloating with the fatigue. And also probably mental fatigue, because spleen is in charge to also giving us a lot of great qi and energy for mental capacity, specifically with good food, right? So that can happen as well. With kidney qi deficiency, remember when we talked about the function of qi to control orifices, right? So kidney qi is in charge of controlling the closing and opening of orifices, specifically the lower orifices. So with kidney qi deficiency, we may have a little bit of incontinences, specifically bladder, having issue with frequent urination or difficulty in retaining the urination. As well, we may have obviously fatigue, dizziness, that may also be part of a kidney qi deficiency. Okay? And the last pattern or TCM pattern we can encounter with qi is qi sinking. And the only organ that can be qi sinking is spleen, because spleen is the organ that's in charge of raising qi, keeping all the organs in place. So because spleen is in charge of keeping all the organs in place, if spleen is out of balance, then we get spleen qi sinking, which means that we're going to have really fatigue, exhaustion probably, with a bearing down sensation, specifically in the lower abdominal region, and we're going to have organ prolapse. So the person is going to have probably maybe bladder prolapse or uterus prolapse for women, or rectum prolapse as well. Okay, large intestine, the transverse colon can also prolapse as well. All right, so those are the four main possibilities for qi to be out of balance. Good? Awesome. Let's talk about the next substance, blood, or shui in Chinese medicine. So blood in Chinese medicine is a matter that is very similar to the Western part. So that's the good part about it, is that, it's very similar. So let's talk about blood in general. And specifically, we're going to talk about the, relationship between blood and qi. Qi in Chinese medicine and blood cannot be separated, because qi moves blood and blood nourishes qi. Okay, again, qi moves blood because you need movement, right? If blood is stagnated, it's not good. But blood nourishes qi. So we get really good, strong qi. They are always together. So how do we get blood? Well, that's pretty easy. The formation of blood is produced by spleen, stomach, and the food we absorb. So obviously, if we are, let's say, anemic and we have ferritin or iron deficiency, then we are blood deficient in a Western sense, but also probably in the TCM sense, because we're missing nutrients. We're missing ferritin or iron in our diet, and so we are going to be depleted, right? So blood is formed specifically by the food we eat and absorb, and it is transported and transformed by the spleen and stomach, or the middle qi, the zhong qi. And so that's how we get blood formation. But of course, at first, it comes from our essence. It comes from our parents. The DNA of our blood comes from our parents, right? So what we were born, if we're blood type A or type B or type AB or type O, those type of blood we cannot change. This is who we are. We were given that type of blood by our parents, and that is true through the kidney essence. And then, of course, often we say blood is formed in the heart, right? Because we have lots of blood in the heart, and that's where the heart blood circulation starts. Good? Okay. The blood function in TCM is, to nourish the body, nourish qi, as we said earlier, moisten, keep everything moistened from drying out. But what I found fascinating and what I love about TCM is that blood is also the basis for mental activities. Okay, so in TCM we say that blood is the material basis of the mind, of the Shen, of the spirit. So if we don't have good blood, we cannot have good functioning mental activities. Very interesting. We need good blood for our mental health to be good as well. The circulation of blood is heart moves it, just like in the Western sense, right? It circulates it. Spleen, specifically with stomach, produces it using the food from the nutrients, right? And then, or using food and making nutrients, sorry, I should say. And then liver, or TCM liver in Chinese medicine, stores extra blood, specifically for mental activities and physical activities and for menstruation as well. So that's its function, okay? So what can happen when blood is out of balance, or the pathogenesis of blood in Chinese medicine? Well, mainly the most common one is blood deficiency, which makes sense. I see a lot of women in my practice, and blood deficiency is a huge part of my diagnosis with many women. Reason of blood deficiency can be losing too much blood. For women, for example, could be having heavy flooding menstruation. And unfortunately, because of that, you lose so much blood that you become anemic, right? That's just the way it is. So chronic illness can do that, and also overuse of mental activity, meaning the person that is go all the time may become blood deficient, and they run on empty most of the time. So the symptoms for blood deficiency, we'll look at it in a minute when I'm going to look at the next slide. The next pattern that can happen is blood stasis. So blood stasis is when qi moves blood, right? So if we have qi stagnation, or qi is not moving properly, it can lead to blood stasis, which means that if qi does not move blood because qi is not moving, then blood does not move. That's it. So it becomes a stagnation. Also with blood stasis, it can be impact. If we have a trauma injury and it creates a bruise, that's a blood stasis as well. So that's also a cause of blood stasis. And of course, the next one is blood heat. Blood heat means there's too much heat in the blood, and the blood is going to rush, right? If there's a lot of heat, it's going to make the blood rush, and we're going to have symptoms specifically of abnormal bleeding. So let's look at what does that look like. So in Chinese medicine, specifically, I want to give you something I give my students all the time, is to know what blood deficiency is. Usually it's always P and P, pale and poor, pale and poor, pale tongue, pale nails, pale lips, pale face, okay? Poor would be poor memory, poor focus, poor sleep, poor circulation, poor night vision, blurred vision, floaters, numbness with the poor circulation, tingling, pins and needles. That's what blood deficiency is in Chinese medicine. Now, liver blood deficiency is the most common one, and it manifests mostly in the nails, where we can see pale purplish nails. Also numbness and tingling, and waking up in the night and not being able to feel our fingers or our arm. And blurred vision with a lot of floaters and spots. That's more of a liver blood deficiency, which can also lead to amenorrhea or no menstruation, or very light menstruation. We can have also symptoms of heart blood deficiency. Other organs can have blood deficiency, of course, as well. But dizziness is one of them, and not being able to sleep properly, of course, not being able to focus, and memory is not good, specifically short-term memory. Okay, so pale and poor, P and P. Now, the second one is blood stasis. And what are the symptoms in blood stasis? It's P and P again. So it's not pale and poor, but this P and P is purple and pain. Okay, so blood stasis in TCM is always purple and pain. Purple tongue, purple lips, purple nails, because nothing moves. It's like a bruise, right? Everything, when you're bruised or you have a hematoma, it's all purple. The blood is stuck there. And the pain part of it is stabbing, fixed pain. Fixed means it doesn't move, it doesn't go anywhere. So someone that has painful menstruation, stabbing pain on the uterus area, specifically with lots of clots when they are bleeding, that's a blood stasis. Also for someone that has piercing, painful, stabbing headache, that stays in the same area, maybe behind the eyes, maybe on the temporal area, but it's not moving. Compared to a headache which moves, compared to, like if you have a headache that starts in the occipital region or in the back of your head and then travels to the front or the orbital region behind your eyes, that's a moving headache. So a blood stasis headache is one that does not move. Of course, if you have a trauma or an injury, let's say you fell down the stairs and sprained your ankle, that's blood stasis because the pain is fixed and it's really, really painful. If you sprain your ankle, you know how painful that is. So there is blood stasis there too. Good? Okay, the last one we said was blood heat. So in this picture, I want to differentiate bleeding because blood heat, as I said earlier, creates a rush of blood and abnormal bleeding. When we have bleeding, we have two ways to know what the diagnosis is for bleeding or abnormal bleeding in Chinese medicine. It's either a spleen deficiency, because spleen is in charge of keeping the blood within the blood vessels, and that's from the organs function, TCM spleen. So spleen is in charge of keeping the blood within the blood vessel. So when there is heavy flooding of the menstruation specifically, but the person is pale and fatigued and weak and feels cold, that is more of a spleen deficiency issue. On the other hand, if someone is abnormally bleeding, specifically let's talk about menstruation bleeding, so there's also heavy bleeding, but this person's feeling hot. They have insomnia, they're feeling overheated, they're irritable. That's a heat in the blood or blood heat. Okay? So those are the two different things when someone is heavy bleeding. It's either the spleen cannot hold the blood within the blood vessels, or it's too much heat in the blood, rushing the blood out. Good? All right, let's continue. Body fluids in Chinese medicine are very similar to the Western sense, with a little twist. We're going to put a Chinese twist to everything. So body fluid in Chinese medicine are called usually Jing Ye. So they have two parts. Okay, so let's talk about what does that mean. So first of all, how do we form body fluid? Well, that's easy. You just need food and drinks, right? So obviously food would be like things like watermelon and cucumbers that are high in fluid content. And then drinks, of course, water and teas and anything we're going to bring in as body fluids. So body fluids obviously are formed by other fluids, which are usually coming from food and drinks. Now we have two type of fluids, but before I talk about that, let's talk about the functions of the body fluid in TCM, which is pretty simple, which is to just moisten the body and nourish the organs, specifically the sense organ, the tissues, and all the organs inside. So it nourishes the skin, of course, and moistens the skin so we don't have dry skin, but it also keeps the internal part of us hydrated or nourished. Yes? That makes sense? Okay, so it is an essential substance, and it's really the human body it maintains life activities. Without body fluids, we can't do anything. Dehydration, doesn't make us feel good, right? So let's talk about those two. We have Jin, which is thin fluid, and Ye, which is the thick fluid. So in TCM, we consider the thin fluid anything that's watery, that's clear, that's light, like sweat, saliva, tears, but also part of blood also, because of course in blood we have a lot of fluids, right? So that's part of it as well. The thick fluid is more turbid, more dense, more heavy, like marrow, like eyes, like your brain, your gastric secretions. So that's the way I look at it is Jin would be more the water part of you, and Ye would be more the oily part of you. Okay, so let's look at this as the watery part of you is really what we need hydration for, right? That's how we get dryness. But if we want to look at the thick one, or the thick fluid, we need oily food. We need food that is high in omega-3 and essential fatty acid to lubricate. One, we need hydration. The other one, we need lubrication. And that's how we keep body fluids in balance in Chinese medicine. We need hydration and lubrication. Good? Okay, so let's look at, this is pretty simple. I think we understand body fluid pretty fast and pretty easily. So let's look at what can happen with body fluid. Either we have too much or we don't have enough, right? So excess body fluid means we have too much body fluid in our body. What does it look like? Well, usually with excess body fluid, we're going to have things like water retention, a lot of dampness, a lot of phlegm. We may cough phlegm. We may have edema, of course, a lot of puffiness in the body. Also, maybe excess yeast, like a lot of yeast infection, or lots of greasy scalp, greasy skin, lots of greasy bowel movement, sticky bowel movement, or loose stools. That could be the excess body fluid, okay? The deficiency is easy, just like this lizard, it's drying everything. So we can have dry skin, dry hair, dry stool, dry everything, right? Also, because when we have dry skin and hair and stool, we can also have not enough body fluid. And so when we're missing body fluid, we're also missing minerals. So we're going to miss like magnesium and potassium. And what's going to happen is we're going to have muscle cramps or muscle spasm as well. And of course, we feel thirsty as well, right? So that would be a deficiency of body fluid. So the best thing is to lubricate and hydrate when we're deficient, right? Remember that. Good? Okay, so that was an easy one for body fluid. Now let's look at the last substance. The vital substance number 4 is Jing. And this one is translated as essence. And I put a little DNA symbol here because that's the best representation of essence in Chinese medicine. Okay? Because really, it is our DNA. It is why our hair is the color it is, why we have blue eyes or green eyes or brown eyes. It is why we have our parents' DNA, and we can't change that, right? If we were born with 6 toes in 1 foot, then we can't change that. Of course, we can have an operation, but that's how we were born. If we were born with red hair, then it's red hair. You can dye it, but it will grow red every single time. That stays who you are. This is the essence of who you are. Okay? So how do we get essence? Like I said, from congenital qi. Remember yuan qi, congenital qi, the source? So we get it from pre-birth, from our parents. So our parents come together and they give us their DNA, right? Their DNA matches, gets together, and voila, we come up as our parents' little kitty. And then we have the essence of our parents, which were given to us at birth. Now, what we're going to do with this essence depends on our lifestyle post-birth. Okay, so pre-birth is what our parents are going to give us. Post-birth or post-congenital, post-heaven often essence is what are we going to do with it? So we're going to age the way our parents aged. Whatever DNA was given to us, we may age very well or not, but the lifestyle we're going to have for our whole life, if we smoke, if we have a lot of accident, lots of stress, bad diet, it is going to age us faster and deplete our essence as we go. So we can't control what our parents gave us or the DNA we were given at birth, but we can definitely control a lot of our lifestyle. Of course, we can't control trauma, injury, or car accident or anything like this, but we can control what we put in our body or how much exercise we do and how we enjoy life in general. Okay? And that's how we're going to keep our essence as strong as possible and age as gracefully as possible. The function of essence in Chinese medicine is to help us grow. So, of course, from a baby to a child, if we grow well, and then we have good essence. Also, reproductive system, sexual activity, pregnancy, development of the brain is all function of essence. So let me give you an example. As a child, I was born 10 weeks premature. Yep. Because my mom smoked 2 packs a day. Yep, 2 packs of cigarettes every day. So, of course, I wanted to get out of there because I couldn't breathe. And I came out with asthma. My spine wasn't growing straight, so I had scoliosis. So my spine wasn't straight. I grew my teeth not straight as well. So my teeth weren't straight. My spine wasn't straight. I had asthma as a child. That is growth that is impaired by the pre-birth essence from my mom specifically, who did not have a great healthy pregnancy. Okay, so that was given to me. And then, of course, later on, if I have a good lifestyle, hopefully I can have a good life and be healthy. Yay! But it wasn't a good start, right? When in my practice, I see a lot of women that come for fertility issues. So now essence is also part of fertility, reproduction, pregnancy, prevention of miscarriages, being able to grow a fetus into a baby and have a healthy pregnancy. Now, many factors can change that, of course, but one of them is essence. For example, for men, if a man has low sperm count, low morphology, then that's going to be very difficult for the man to reproduce and being able to have a child on its own, right? So that's part of being low in essence. Also, brain development. Of course, if a child grows and their brain doesn't develop normally, that's a low essence. And the problem with Chinese medicine is we cannot change essence. We cannot replenish it. We can only preserve it and try to keep good health for it, or keep it as much as possible, because it's going to deplete it as we age. Unfortunately, it's our aging system, right? Essence, as we age, is going to be more depleted. Okay? So let's look at what can happen when essence is not properly functioning, with pathogenesis of essence. It can never be excess. We can never have too much. We are going to be depleting essence as we age, and of course with lifestyle. So all we can have is essence deficiency in Chinese medicine. And how do we know we have essence deficiency? Premature hair loss, specifically for men. If your dad probably had hair loss when he was young, in his 20s, as a man, as a son, you probably will have the same thing, which kind of suck. I know it's not fun, but that's what can happen. For women also, what can happen is premature gray hair. I have a friend of mine who went gray at 24. So that's an essence deficiency in Chinese medicine, because you're aging faster than you're supposed to, or your essence is depleting faster than you're supposed to. And you guys understand that, we can age overnight, right? Because of trauma, of shock, of things that can happen, or bad news, or losing a child, that can age us faster. A lot of impact can be done to the essence in our life. So it's not just from our parents, it's also what happened during our life. Bone loss, of course, like osteoporosis, that happened early. Memory loss, that's another also part of essence, because essence is part of the brain. Like I said earlier, having fertility issues, but also no libido, like none whatsoever, meaning your essence diminished. A lot of older people, libido is not properly functioning as they get older. Not everybody. There's a lot of old people that are very happy and still enjoying a healthy sexual life. But there are a lot of people in their 90s or whatnot that just don't have libidos anymore, right? And then, of course, like we said, slow growth and development in children shows an essence deficiency. And again, very difficult to change essence deficiency, unfortunately. Okay? Well, that was me. This is the 4 vital substances. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I can shed a light if you had a bit of a confusion on anything concerning the 4 vital substances. You are a TCM rock star. Don't forget that. Thank you for going all the way to the end of the video. I'm Clara, and keep rocking it using TCM. Now, if you want any more stuff, go to my website, AcuProAcademy.com, or my Facebook page. I have tons and tons and tons of online TCM courses, lots of free one and some paid one. I have lots of videos. I make daily Facebook posts that are fun to share, to educate the world about our amazing, amazing medicine. TCM rock, you rock. Have a fantastic day.